All right. You're closer than you think, but for the wrong reasons. That's the name of this title. It's a long title. All right. So I'm going to walk you guys through this. And I've told you before, and I'm just going to share it again. My job as a trainer is to assess and advise. All right. So when I work with students and they push back, it's a challenge for me because they're not qualified to assess themselves. That's it, and that's just the reality. It's just true. I mean, if you're a 350 Fargo, you're not really qualified to assess what you need, especially if you have a person that has been playing at a professional level and has been doing it for 40 years and has been training people for the last couple of years and all that stuff. So I'm not complaining, and I'm not whining about people that push back against me, because it's part of life, and I get it, and it's part of my instructional journey is that people push back. So, but when I hear people make statements that I'm training, and they're trying to say, I would like help with this, right? Sometimes I'm fine with that. Like, what do you want to help with? Like, once I get a relationship established, if I don't have, like, sometimes I need to trust them and say, well, what did you experience at league and what can I help you with? The issue is that sometimes when I ask that question and they give me an answer that's not going to be helpful to their game, then I need to like have a conversation about it, right? So this comes up in pool, and people want to break the balls, right? So I had a student that was about a 300, 350, and they told me, I need to learn how to break because I break dry and people run out on me. And I just know that is just absolutely not the truth. The percentage of people that run out in the league that they play on a dry break is probably, like, the percentage of racks run on a dry break in that league is very low, okay? So it's not statistically like true what they're saying about, like, and I've heard this before from people that are 600s, and it sort of makes more sense if a person's a 625 and they're like, well, if I break dry, I'm playing against 650s, and that's a higher percentage on a bar table that a 650 can run out on a dry break. But I'm talking, this person's a 350 and usually matching up in that 350 to 450 range. So it's just not true, right? People just aren't running out. It's just not statistically possible. So that's kind of the first like red flag that goes off when that person shared that with me. And then the next thing was that the break is sort of irrelevant in beginner pool and intermediate pool. There's just so many shots that happen after the break, and it's just not a critical part of the game. And so that's another part of it, because they're not running out. Okay, I'm repeating myself, but then the other part was that this person was not capable. Look at that bug. This is awful. Okay, we're gonna pretend it's not there. Probably gonna land on my nose. This person's not capable of running a rack. It's just not happening. I mean, I could break for them and squat the cue ball, and they would just be very unlikely to run out. I mean, it might be a 3% thing, a 5% thing, maybe. I don't even know, probably not even, maybe it might be 1%. It might be 1 out of 100 racks. So breaking is just way down the list of importance. It's a game starter at the level that they're playing at, and it's both for them and their opponents. And so it just was kind of it was just kind of an interesting thing to hear, because I was just so flummoxed by it, because it was just not like this person was advising me on what they wanted help with, and they were assessing and advising their game based on this thing that was absolutely not reality. And so I'm just using that as an example to kind of get the conversation started, is that we need to be in reality. And I'm going to get to like how we're going to get to the part where you guys win. Okay. I'm going to teach you guys how to win, and I'm going to teach you guys how to train to win. And I know you guys, I'm a process guy, but we're going to talk about winning tonight. Okay. And so we're going to start with, in order for us to start winning, we have to be assessing the situation correctly. And so if we don't assess the game theory correctly, let's call it the game theory, let's say the GTO, game theory optimal in poker. If we don't assess the game theory correctly, then we have no ability to move forward effectively. We're going to be like, on a treasure hunt digging in the wrong area. So that's what I'm trying to get to, is like I'm trying to lay the groundwork where I see people that have these misunderstandings of their game and their ability and what's necessary. And I think what I'm saying is their biggest hurdle to getting improvement is being not in reality. And I'm trying to share with you some of these experiences I have. So there's the break, right? Because then that was a while ago, and then I had another situation where a person was around a 480 and they were wanting to work on their break, and they were going to play in a big table tournament, 9-ball on a big table, and at the 480 to 600 range, I'm going to say that the break in 9-ball is irrelevant. It's just a game starter. There's going to be a lot of shots. There's going to be safeties, missed shots. There's going to be a lot of things going on, and the break is pretty unimportant, okay? And I helped the person with the break, and I spent the first 15 minutes of the lesson working on the break, and I just patiently helped them with their break and try to improve their break, try to show them how to, calm down on their break and how to do some things with their break. But after that, I just told them, this is gonna be irrelevant to your plan. So their plan was, I have a tournament in 7 weeks, and I wanna work on big table 9-ball to do my best at this tournament. So that's all you have to say. You tell me that, and I'll tell you, I'll assess and advise, and I'll give you the game theory on how we're gonna get the most out of that 7 weeks. And now I'm gonna go to where the conversation went after that. So I say, all right, we can work on the break, but now we got to be done with the break. I showed you some stuff. I did what you wanted to do. Now we're gonna talk about reality, and I'm gonna tell you that the break's irrelevant. And then I'm also gonna talk about reality and say, how many balls are you trying to run when you get to the table in your brain? Like what do you think? Okay, so this person's playing in a tournament that's gonna be 600 and under, let's call it, and it's mostly gonna be, I would say 400 to like 550 range, 404 to 525 range. And so under those conditions, I was trying to get with this 480 and ask, what is a reasonable one of balls that you think you can run on a big table consistently, like at 80%? And they didn't really have an answer at that moment, which was fine. And I said, the answer is 2, okay? That is the most balls that I think you can run on a big table is 2. And I think that if I had to throw out 2 balls randomly and they would play the 2-ball ghost on a big table, I think I might win that bet. And that's not insulting, and that's not anything. It's reality, okay? And that's fine, because we have to have a baseline of where we start, right? But then what happened was, I'm trying to establish a baseline. I'm trying to establish reality. I'm trying to get the right, because we can't move forward learning until we get into reality. Because what happens is we get stuck on this cycle where they were thinking, well, I want to be able to run 5 or 6 balls consistently. And I'm like, yeah, that could be 18 months to 2 years of hard work away. That's what I'm thinking. And that's what I'm sharing. And I'm saying, we can't put out this massive thing and have this expectation that's completely out of reality, and deal with all this discouragement and this frustration and this distraction in our brain because we're not able to do this impossible task. But if we set the task to a correct bar for us, then we have a chance, right? And the thing is, like, once we talked about it, I'm like, no, the thinking that this person's thinking that 5 or 6 balls is where they want to be, and that it's insulting that 2 balls is where I'm at, and I need to try to strive to get to 3 balls. Like, instead of being defensive about that, instead of being like reactive, it's like, let's be in reality, and let's just calmly be in reality, and then we can work from that area. So then what did we do? I set up a shot, and it was the 8 ball here and the cue ball here, and the 9 ball was up past the side pocket, and could not run out at an 80% rate, because at a 480, this is a missable shot. Let me grab the cue ball. And the 8 ball. So as a 480 on a 4 1/4 diamond table trying to play position, this is a missable shot. Like, this can be missed. Then you're going to talk about unintended spin. You're going to talk about hitting the ball, side spin. You could talk about hitting it too low and killing the cue ball. You could talk about hitting it thick and not having control. You could talk about hitting it too thin and scratching in the corner. There's all these things that could happen on this. And the correct way to play position on this ball to the 9 ball that's on just the other side of the pocket, probably can't see it, is to go down to the second rail and back out. And so hitting this shot and knowing where it's going to hit on that rail and come back for the 9 on the side, it's a very difficult shot. And now if we're here and we're going to try to hit 1 rails to the 9 ball, this can get all kinds of weird where they don't have to make that 9 ball. So my point is, I sat with them and watched them hit this shot, and even when you could mark the ball and set it in the same position and give them 10 shots at it, they're not going to be at 80%. They're probably like 30, 40%. So the point is, that's not a problem. That's just the reality, right? And so the way to improve and to level up is to sit and hit this shot and figure out this shot as a common shot back and forth up table, and to go different positions with it. And that's why playing Ghost sucks, and that's why hitting marked shots is important, because I can hit this ball all around the table from this position here, and then I'm prepared to move the 9 ball around and get different positions on the 9 ball and increase my percentage of running out 2 balls, right? And then I can start from there and change the position and learn different shots. And basically what I'm saying is, if this person, I believe, cannot beat the 2-ball Ghost on a 480 on a 9 foot 4 1/4 diamond, the 2-ball Ghost is going to be tough. Okay, this is going to be tough. So if they can't do it, then let's figure out how to develop these shots and figure out how to run 2 balls, and then figure out how to beat the 2-ball Ghost. And and then what we do is we add a 3rd ball, and we start doing patterns, and we start seeing consistency, and we start learning, we start seeing repeated scenarios and layouts, and then we can develop and add that 3rd ball. And so what I was trying to get to is that if this person has 7 weeks or 8 weeks, like, this is how they should prepare. Basically 1 ball, shoot the 9 ball a bunch, maybe 100 9 balls from differing areas, and rolling and 50, 80 that 9 ball, and get used to making the money ball. Maybe 100 or 200 or 300 shots. Maybe week 1 of the 7 weeks is just making the 9 ball from different positions. And you have, 9 hours of making the 9 ball in 3 different 3-hour sessions, or 5 different hour sessions. You have 5 hours at 1 ball run, right? Just make the 9 ball. Just learn how to be comfortable making the 9 ball. And then add in another ball with some marked spots and keep doing it. And then do a little 2-ball Ghost after that, and develop that way. And so through the weeks, by the time that 7th week rolls around, if that 480 can beat the 3-ball Ghost on a 9 foot 4 1/4 diamond, like, they're going to have a chance to do really well up to 600 against those players. And so the reality is, they're so far away from where they want to be. They're so far away from where they think they should be in their head that it's almost unachievable. But they're so close to getting better results than they ever imagined. If they can back off, get in reality, and accept reality and start working off of their reality and their baseline, and start listening to their coach, because I'm an experienced guy and experienced. Okay, guys, I have a lot of years playing the game, and I'm telling whoever wants to listen that there's a certain number of balls that each level of play can run, and I've seen it, and it's a thing. And if you're playing a tournament and you're going to have most of the field's going to be right around 525, 500, 480, 3 balls is going to get it done. If you can run 3 open balls on a 9-foot table, playing in a 600 and under, you're probably going to win the tournament. That's a dominant skill set, okay? And once you go up the ladder, it doesn't go up super fast. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. We had a 625 tournament, and they were playing 9-ball on 4 1/4 diamonds. And I told a 625, I said, if you can run 4 open balls, you will win this tournament. It's not even 5, it's 4. Okay, 4 open balls will dominate this field. And he was thought I was the most ridiculous person in the world and dismissive, and thought I was being negative, and thought I was judging and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm not. If I'm off by a half a ball or I'm off by a full ball, fine. If it's 5 balls, it's 5 balls, but probably likely it's 4. So then I did commentary, I watched the tournament, and literally they just did not run more than 3 balls. 4 balls was max, right? And there was no racks run in the whole tournament, and there was multiple innings, and it was just what I thought it was going to be. And so the thing is that this game is a race to reality. That's what I think it is. Amateur pool is basically a race to who can get into reality the fastest. That's what I feel like it is when I'm doing this coaching. When I'm watching these league players and I'm coaching Jolie and I'm coaching people, there's a certain level with everything. If you're a beginner player and you can make the 8-ball. If you can just make the 8-ball from a half tough shot consistently, you're probably going to dominate all the other beginner players. If you can pocket the 8-ball, this 8-ball here, if you sit and hit this 8-ball and make it on the side, 80%. If you can make this 8-ball here, 80%. If you can make this 8-ball here, 80%, you just have a dominant edge playing league pool. Dominant edge, okay? Because beginners cannot make this. Intermediate to beginner players do not make this ball out. Intermediate player, yes. A beginner player like this, there's a 40 to 150 rating in our league, and everybody that's under 55, let's say, you have a dominant edge if you can make this ball, this ball, this ball. If you can just make those 8 balls, this ball up table, this ball up table, if you could make these shots consistently, you would immediately go to 60 as a rating. You would beat all the 55 and belows. Okay? Now, if you can shoot a ball before that ball and the 8-ball, well, now you definitely are getting to 60. If you can shoot this ball here from here, and you can play position and make 2 balls and come across to that rail, now you have dominant skill set. Because it's always going to come down to the last few balls, and if you can just calmly make the last few balls and play position, 1 or 2 balls and the 8, 1 ball in the 8, you're definitely going from a 40 to a 60 within no time. So if you just spent your time making the 8-ball, you could probably go up 10 points immediately, within a month, right? And then if you could add a ball and make the 8, you'd probably go up 20 points in a month. Because if you can make 2 balls or make a ball and the 8-ball, you're going to go up another 5 points, right? It's just I'm just throwing numbers out, but I'm not far off. I'm not off my rocker here. I'm telling you guys, I've seen enough of this stuff. it comes down to the last couple balls. So that's it. Because I'm watching 55s, 57s play, and they'll have like 2 or 3 stripes and an 8 in this situation, and it's like they're not out. They're not out. They just are not out. It's not a thing where they run out 3, 4 balls when they're all in the same zone. It's just they can, but they also can't, right? So if you're the person that can run 2 or 3 balls when it's all in the same area, or you can hit a ball from this end and go get shape on that ball and make those 2 balls, it's so dominant in that league. And you don't have to be anything strategy-wise other than that. Just hit the balls in with it and try to race to the 8 ball. And then once it comes down to the 8 ball, if you can be the person that can make the 8, you're gonna crush the people that are at the level that you're at. And it just doesn't take that long. It just takes some time, right? To build up, shooting the 8, shooting the 8, shooting the 8. And we're hitting the 8 ball. Like, that's what I'm saying. Hit this 8 ball 200-300 times. Do that in a session and watch how your pocketing the 8 ball goes up in your next session. So that's it. Is just I get so distracted. I'm like, it's like the cats when you see them with the balls, they start hitting the balls around. So I just say that's it, is that we get in reality and then we try to figure out the game theory of what do we need to do to beat the level that we're at. That's basically it. It's like poker is that way. There's a level of poker. Every time you go up a stake level, like you start off at the micros and then you go to small stakes, and then once you go to small stakes, you go to medium stakes. There's a pool. There's a way that pool plays. And poker players that are winning players, it's like 3% of the people in the world that play poker win. And the people that can win are the people that look at what the pool of players are doing, and then they figure out the right game theory basically to beat that level. It could be just folding in the micro levels. I just fold and fold and fold and I play the nuts and then I win that way. But then once you get to the next level, just folding and playing the nuts ain't gonna get it done. So you have to start learning some other moves. But so what I'm saying is in pool, it's the same situation. Every level has its sort of game theory and way that you can beat the game. And I'm just saying that if you're a beginner, make the 8 ball. If you can get to make the 8 and the 9, now you're like hanging with intermediate players. And then if you're an intermediate player and you can make 2 or 3 balls on the 8, now you're probably able to fight your way through and take some sets off some advanced players or take some games off advanced players. Because there's certain advanced players that still play, try to run out and leave the balls open. So if you can run 3 or 4 open balls and then play some sort of safety and get back to the table and have 3 or 4 open balls and they have the 8 and you can run out 3 or 4 open balls under pressure, you're gonna start beating those advanced players if you're intermediate. So it's but we have to get into reality. That's what holds people back, is that they think, it's not acceptable. And it's no, reality is acceptable. It can be acceptable that you can only run 1 ball or 2 balls. That's just reality, right? And so you have to have a baseline that you can build off of. But if you start thinking, I have to run 6 balls or I have to run 7 balls, like people that tell me, oh, I run 6 balls like a champ. It's no, you run 6 open balls in random order and you just sort of plunk in 6 balls. You're not cleanly running 6 balls and then finishing racks. You're just sort of haphazardly shooting in 6 balls in a row once in a while. And so that if you have that reality that says you're not a 6 ball runner, you're probably a 3 ball runner that sort of haphazardly stumbles through an extra few balls once in a while, you'd be much better off. Because then you'd say, okay, I'm a 3 ball runner, I'm not a 6 ball runner. And that's fine, because I want to be a 6 ball runner, but I want to run 6 balls in the correct order, with control and with calm, being present and with intention and not unintentionally. And so we have to start and say, okay, if we can only intentionally run 3 balls, or 2 balls or 3 balls, then we have to make some changes and try to see if we can develop to run more balls intentionally. And that's it. Yep. And that's it for 9 ball. That's it for 8 ball. That's it. We just have to get into reality, and not in a negative way. Because the thing is that, I'll just repeat it, it's a paradox, right? Because you're farther away from playing the game that you think that you can play. Meaning, if you're a 480 and you think I got to really run 5 balls or 6 balls within 8 weeks, and that's what's going to get me through the tournament, you're like not galaxies, but you're pretty far away from 5 or 6 balls. But once you get in reality and you learn how to assess correctly, or whatever you want to say, and you realize that it's actually, you only need to run 3 balls. And if you had ran 3 balls, it would actually be attainable, and it'll be as dominant or more dominant than you running 5 or 6 balls. Obviously, if you could run 5 or 6 balls, it'd be way more dominant. But I'm just saying, you have 0 chance to run 5 or 6 balls in 7 weeks, and you have a chance to be able to run 2 or 3 balls in 7 weeks, and that there is a path to that. And so you're a lot closer than you think. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that we're a lot closer than we think, but if we're in reality. But if we're not in reality, then we're actually way far away, or way more far away than we think. So that's it. That's all I got to say about that, Forrest Gump. So I don't know. Hopefully this helps. I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying to help you guys. I'm trying to let you guys know what I think. And you guys want to win? I want you guys to win. But if we're going to go winning, and we're going to be winning is going to be our thing, then we got to get in reality, and we got to do the right approach, right? And so I've got these runouts, and I'm working on them. Keep dragging you guys along. But anyways, we're going to have to get in reality and say 1 ball at a time. It's just 1 ball at a time. It's 1 theory at a time, meaning there's 5 or 6 different runout theories and principles, but it's just 1 ball at a time. And we just have to realize, can we just run 1 ball in the 8 ball? And then can we run 2 balls in the 8 ball? And maybe we can run 3 balls in the 8 ball. And we can run it from all these different marks and all these different spots, and we can just be patient and develop our game, right? So that's what we're going to do, right? Okay, so I love you guys. I hope this helped. I hope it's more encouraging than discouraging, and I'm not judging anybody, because I'm in the same boat. I could go through my own realities, right? I'm in the same reality as everybody else, right? Yeah, and I'm just bringing down my expectations. I'm getting into reality, and then I have a good baseline, and then I just build off my baseline, and it's a lot closer than we think to get to where we want to be if we're in reality. If we're not in reality, it's impossible to get there, almost impossible to get there, honestly, because you're just going to be digging in the wrong area. Your X's are all over the wrong part of the map. I'm trying to say, here's the map, here's the X's, here's the shovel, here's the pick. You're going to have to dig to get this out of here, but I'm telling you guys, I know where those X's are, and I know the path to take. So let's just do it. Let's work together. Let's learn this stuff, and let's do it in reality, and do it with patience, and do it with acceptance and joy and humility and love for one another. All right, hippie stoner talk. Okay, bye.